Welcome to Spiritual Awakening Radio. My name is James Bean. It's great to be back for another edition of Spiritual Awakening Radio. Today focused on the teachings and mystic poetry of Sant Dadu Dayal of Rajasthan, one of the great saints of the Sant Mat tradition of India, one of my favorite poet mystics of all time. Sant Dadu Dayal is in the tradition of Kabir. Some mystic verses before I start getting into some background information. Just as life dwells in the veins, light in the sun, and coolness in the moon, so does God dwell in the self. The one who has made this temple of our hearts, he alone dwells in this temple. None else but our beloved is in our hearts. Within you is your friend. Let yourself recognize him. Look not at a distance. Know him as your reflection, O Dadu. God is within all beings. He accompanies all and is close by. Musk is in the musk deer, yet it goes around in search of musk. The self knows not God, although God is with the self. Being deaf to the holy sound of the Master, sadly does he wander. He for whom you search in the world dwells within you. You know him not, because the veil of mine and thine is there. He dwells within all beings, yet rarely does anyone know him. He alone who is a devotee of God will know him. Remembering God, life is successful if spent in the service of others. That's an interesting saying. Remembering God, life is successful if spent in the service of others. A quote from Dadu found in The Life Story of Dadu Dayal, the book of Janma Lila by a disciple of Dadu by the name of Jan Gopal. A quote from the 16th century Indian master Dadu Dayal, the compassionate mystic, who outlined the Sant Mat vision for the spiritual life to be pursued during our time here on planet Earth. Says Dadu, recognize the path to your beloved, O travelers, and take the route of the anguished lover in separation. Keep the Master's grace in your thoughts and reflect upon his pure teachings. Develop love and devotion with endearment and keep the thought of the Creator always before you. Try to merge yourself into God like water and water. Fix your mind within by following the path of the sound current. A yearning will arise. Make then an intense and anguished call. Repeat the name of your beloved day and night, again and again, again and again. With care in thought, word, and deed, you will cross to the other shore. Crossing to the other shore is a kind of metaphor for swimming the ocean of samsara, an image often invoked in Buddhist, Jainist, Taoist, Sikh, Sant, even Christian literature of the East. Swimming across the ocean of this life, crossing over the ocean of this world of changes, this realm of illusion or samsara, to reach the other side, the heavenly realm, the divine goal, the arms of the beloved, the Supreme Being, who also is described as a ocean, another kind of ocean, an anurag sagar, or ocean of love. So swimming across the ocean of samsara to reach a distant shore. But I like the metaphor of God being another kind of ocean altogether, the ocean of love and all consciousness. In that paragraph above, Dadu touches upon many central teachings of the Sant tradition, describing God as the beloved, revealing the Vaishnava bhakti approach of God as the Lord of love, and much love and devotion, or bhakti, as being central to the path. So a lot of poetry invokes certain universal things: yearning, separation, the anguished lover, the devotee in search of his beloved. That's very central to the Sant tradition, a foundation of bhakti, a way not only of light and sound, but of love, light, and sound. Keep the Master's grace in your thoughts and reflect upon his pure teachings. This is also central to the Sant tradition. One is initiated by a living Master who teaches you well and communicates to you. And you read his writings or attend his satsangs or watch videos or all of the above. And so your source of inspiration is not an eclectic New Age mix of this and that and this, sort of a hodgepodge, checkered, chad, plaid, this and that, all stirred together, which turns all teachings into something else, but rather your dominant spiritual path is your primary influence. Not a little bit of Sant Mod on Monday and Buddhism on Tuesday and Course in Miracles on Wednesday and this some other thing on Thursday, because when you put that together like that, it's not Sant Mod anymore. It's not anything recognizable. Sort of a New Age bouillabaisse, New Age soup, I suppose. For those on the path of the Masters, their primary influence would be the path of the Masters. Keep the Master's grace in your thoughts and reflect upon his pure teachings. That's pretty central. One's spiritual path should be the primary influence, and not so much a part of an eclectic New Age soup, a hodgepodge of different ideas mixing together that makes it into something else, and no longer the path of the Masters, but the path of whichever way the wind is blowing, you might say. Develop love and devotion with endearment, and keep the thought of the Creator always before you. This path of the Masters very much is focused on respect for living teachers. But the role of the living Master is to connect souls back to God, and so much of the focus is on the Supreme Being in this path of the Masters in Sant tradition. Try to merge yourself into God like water and water. Fix your mind within by following the path of the sound current. A very key spiritual practice of the Sant tradition is listening to the eternal sound, the inner sound, which pulls the soul up through the different planes on this journey of ascension within, making it possible to explore inner space, the kingdom of the heavens within, the inner regions. The sound really puts the mind to sleep and makes one very relaxed and allows one to rise above body consciousness. Not only that, but also to rise above astral consciousness and causal and the mental body, and just be soul. Be soul in spiritual regions. The sound current meditation makes it possible to rise above yourself, to transcend the mind and the body and the subtle bodies. A yearning will arise, make an intense and anguished call. Repeat the name of your beloved day and night. Again and again, again and again. This is also a central teaching of the Masters. Simran of the name or names of God. The name of the beloved. A kind of one-word prayer, and the answer to this prayer is God Himself. One repeats a name or various sacred names of God, and this keeps one focused a great deal of the time, not only in meditation, but people who follow this spiritual path, this path of the mystic journey, will make use of their sacred names, mantra words, the Simran practice, to refocus, to get recentered, all of the time, often as possible, day and night. And of course, it is the first step of meditation practice, the repetition of one's sacred names. That's step one of meditation, to get centered. And it is characterized here as a name of God, isn't it? In the teachings of Sant Dadu Dayal. Dadu says, repeat the name of your beloved day and night. He's not saying repeat the name of various emanations of God or a hypostasis, to use a fancy technical term, holographic projections of God, lesser incarnations of God, divine reflections of God on the astral plane or causal plane or some other realm, a lower or lesser realm, astral kneecap of the Supreme Being on some outer plane of consciousness. Not emanations, not presiding deities, not lesser reflections of the Supreme Being. The refrain of the Sants like Dadu, Kabir, Guru Nanak, so many others, is repeat the name of God. Not emanations, not lesser reflections, holographic projections, and all of that, but straightforward. Most High God, repeat the name of your beloved, repeat the name of God, as opposed to other names or of other beings or other levels, planes, presiding deities, hypostasis, reflections on other realms. Not so much that, not a totem pole with lower expressions being given the focus, but God at the top being given the focus in this classic path of the Sants of India. Repeat the name of your beloved day and night, again and again. Says Dadu Dayal, with care and thought, word and deed, you will cross to the other shore. I love this paragraph because it sums up the spiritual journey, touching upon Simran and meditation practice and the basic bhakti or love foundation, a God focus that also has a living master focus, but not one that overshadows, eclipses, or subverts one from the God focus. So it is a healthy respect for living teachers who connect the soul back to God again, described as the beloved. So it's got a nice balance, a true synopsis of the spiritual path, the mystical journey, the path of the masters. More Dadu Dayal, all cosmic abodes were shown to me within the body, proclaims Dadu. None can see them without dedication to the Master, through thought, word, and deed. The body is the storehouse of celestial centers. Wondrous plays are going on within. Let no one make a mistake. Take the company of the Satguru, says Dadu. The Creator is within the body. The treasure you know not. Find the true lover of the Guru, and all will be found within the body. Having dwelt within the body, one pervades eternity. Having been shown by the perfect Master, Dadu has found his true home. Within the body, cultivate gladness, and within it develop affection. Within the body, find the nectar of love. This is what a true lover of the Guru does, says Dadu. That I have seen by entering within, says Dadu. Through a true lover of the Guru it is found, thus do saints explain. Inaccessible and unfathomable is the body, and within is the bagpipe played. The beloved God is found face to face, and the true lover of the Master merges into God, says Dadu. Inner worship alone is the true worship in the teachings of Sant Dadu Dayal. It is described as the only effective means of seeing God face to face. Blemishes are washed away only through the inner baptism. All outer means are futile. By reaching the third eye center, the seat of the soul, by rendering service within your heart, in other words, you see the one who is indestructible and boundless, with no limit on either this end or that, says Dadu. In mystic language, heart denotes the third eye, the center between the two eyebrows, that realm where the self dwells inside you. Says Dadu, after entering within, let one bolt the doors of the house. Let one, O Dadu, serve the Lord at the door of eternity. In other words, one concentrates with one pointed attention, not letting the mind run away through any of the outgoing senses. Says Dadu, to him alone is service rendered and homage paid by devotees. Before him alone they wave lamps in adoration. The ceremony of showing lighted lamps is to be performed within, a metaphor for seeing inner light, in other words. Says Dadu, within is worship to be done. Within is service to the Master. It is rare that someone understands. One finds the Lord within the body by playing the unstruck inner vina. By going through the region of the void, the Lord is seen with ease, says Dadu. Some commentary. What's a veena? A stringed musical instrument, considered to be the oldest of Indian classical instruments, used in Indian classical ragas, similar to a sitar in many ways. Mystics have used the music of the veena as a kind of symbol of the nature of unending, unstruck music, or the divine heavenly sound heard in the eternal realm of Satlok, also called Sachkhand or Nirvana. There is an inner veena, an inner cosmic sound that one focuses on within during meditation practice. Dadu says, search for the beloved close to the place from where the sound emerges, and you will find him, says Dadu. You're hearing Spiritual Awakening Radio, today focused on the teachings of Sant Dadu Dayal of Rajasthan. On today's program, some mystic poetry, commentary, and some background about Dadu's guru, the lineage that he's from, and some writings that are in the English language that you can enjoy. You're hearing Spiritual Awakening Radio. Stay tuned for more after these messages. Sant, or Saint Dadu Dayal, was born in 1544 and passed on or translated in 1603. According to the traditions of the Dadu order, the Dadu Panth, Dadu first met his living master, his guru, known as Budhan, at the age of 11, when he was playing with his friends near a pond. According to Jan Gopal, Dadu was initiated by this living teacher into, quote, the everlasting knowledge of God, or Rom, unquote. So Dadu was initiated at the age of 11 by his spiritual master. According to the same source, Dadu Panth, 7 years later, when Dadu was 18 years old, his guru, his living master, granted him a second visit. Since Dadu was now mature, he was told this time to move to Rajasthan and make known to others the highest esoteric truth so graciously bestowed upon him. This marks a turning point in the life of Dadu Dayal. Dadu, the merciful, the compassionate mystic. His entire life thereafter was spent in intense meditation, imparting his esoteric wisdom to devout seekers, and in visiting different places at the requests of his increasing number of disciples. So we see here that Dadu was appointed to be a successor of Baba Budhan. Now, in some traditions of Sant Mat or Radhasoami, only upon the death of the master does a successor begin his spiritual mission. But in other branches of the Sant tradition, sometimes successors begin their own mission long before the death of their spiritual master. As is the case here, Dadu was very much established, had his own ashram, had a number of followers, was initiating people, all with the blessings of his teacher, long before the passing of that teacher. It can work that way quite often. So by the time the master passes on, the successor is very much established, has an ashram, and already has a following, is already functioning as guru, years before the passing of their master. The images of Baba Budhan resemble that of Kabir. It's likely that Budhan was in a lineage of masters associated with Kabir. Certainly much of the imagery used in Dadu's songs is similar to that used by Kabir. According to the Encyclopedia of Saints of India, Volume 25, Sant Dadu Dayal, Sheikh or Sant Budhan bears some resemblance to Kabir. According to the disciple Jan Gopal in his book of Janma Laila, the life story of Dadu Dayal, Dadu actually met the radiant form of Kabir within during his meditations. Boundless knowledge of divine reality, mystical experience, dawned after he met the blessed Kabir in samadhi, in deep meditation, and they discussed his doubts about the divine experience. He continually sang Kabir's poems and verses and became his equal in word and deed. After his meeting with Kabir, he became an authority on divine reality. That's a passage once again from the life story of Dadu Dayal by his disciple Jan Gopal. Jan Gopal, disciple of Dadu, says, "I bow before the immaculate divine Goswami or Supreme Being. Through my Guru's favor, I have been given all purity. I greet all the Sants. Through their devotion, I drink the nectar of Rom, the nectar of God. There is no end to the number of Sants or saints who appeared in the yugas or epochs of Sat, Treta, Dwapar, and Kali, as in Kali Yuga. I sing of the celebrated one I have heard of and bow my head to all the others." Jan Gopal says he sings the praises of Dadu and bows to all of the other Sants as well. Dadu Dayal says, "Saints are the true redeemers. They make one see the Creator face to face. Having themselves crossed the ocean of the world, they take others across. They are the saviors of beings. If a true master is met, all is set right. Taking one aboard, he goes across to the other shore, O Dadu. He pulls one out of the mouth of Kal and makes the sound reverberate in one's ears. Such a guru I have found," says Dadu, "who brings the dead to life." A couple of footnotes here. The mouth of Kal. Kal Niranjan is the term for a lesser god, a kind of Satan figure in the Sant tradition, or demiurge if you're familiar with Gnosticism. A kind of lesser god, a mental plane lord of the matrix, trying to ensnare and tempt souls into staying put here in lower realms of duality, space and time, always trying to keep them off-center. The mouth of Kal. One is liberated from Kal Niranjan, the false lord, the lord of death, the lord of time and illusion. Making the sound current reverberate in one's ears once again refers to the practice of Surat Shabd Yoga, or inner light and sound meditation, making it possible to rise above body consciousness and explore the kingdom of the heavens that are within the body. At the third eye center, one may begin to explore inner space, the inner moon, the inner sun, the inner stars, planes of consciousness, with the goal being ascension, the ascension of the soul back to the One, to return to the arms of the Beloved, the Supreme Lord of Love, given the name Ram in the spiritual path founded by Sant Dadu Dayal. After the break, I want to share with you about the 4 Rams and the sacred name used in the Dadu branch of the Sant tradition. It's not a secret mantra, it's a public domain mantra. Let's find out what it is. It's a very beautiful name of God. You're hearing Spiritual Awakening Radio. Stay tuned. Indian classical ragas used during Spiritual Awakening Radio have been donated to this program by Maine-based artist Paul Alexander John. Before I discuss the sacred name used by Dadu and his disciples, first a word about the usage of the name Ram. Ram has different meanings in different traditions. It's a general term that means God, but God is defined in different ways by various paths based in India. A word about 4 Nar Gunas and the 4 Rams, according to Sant Darya Sahib of Bihar, and according to Kabir. Let the wise one understand the true meaning of Nar Guna. The first Nar Guna is the self, which speaks from within. The second one is the wind, which blows inaccessibly and which is beyond anyone's reach. The third Nar Guna is the formless Kal, Lord of time and death, who is worshipped by the whole world. The fourth Nar Guna, O brother, is the immutable Lord, where the eternal light burns, the immortal abode, says Darya Sahib of Bihar. Darya on the 4 Rams, the 4 usages of this generic name of God, or Ram. Consider the 4 meanings of Ram. The first Ram is our inner self. Parashu Ram is said to be the second one. The third one lived in Dasharath's home. The fourth Ram is the primeval Sat Parush, or Supreme Being, God. Call him Sat Parush, Ram, or call him Nam. Ram and Nam are one. Both are mutually indistinguishable. Satguru's sound current reveals this wisdom, says Sant Darya Sahib. Nar Guna is a term that means without qualities, the supreme reality without form, the formless, eternal, all-pervading, and omnipresent divine consciousness. Kal, as I mentioned earlier, refers to the false god, the Gnostic demiurge. According to Huzur, Kal, or Brahm, is the universal mind, the master and presiding deity of the spiritual material region of creation. Kal, or Brahm, was instrumental in the creation of the lower divisions of creation. Parashuram is the 6th incarnation of Lord Vishnu. Dasharath, ancient king, the father of Ram. So once again, a figure of Indian mythology. But Sat Parush is the true Ram, the true God, the true eternal original being, spirit, supreme soul, or God, as defined by the Sants of India. The true God, or God beyond God, the God who is spirit and truth, is that Sat Parush, or Sat Ram, if you will. The holy name used in the Dadu Panth. On the origin of the Maha Mantra, the great mantra, the holy name, Satya Ram. Satya Ram is the sacred name of God and Simran word used, chanted, recited, repeated, and meditated upon by followers of Dadu Dayal. The disciples of Dadu used this word. Like the holy name Radhasoami, Satya Ram is a name for the Most High God in the top plane of creation, the original state or ultimate reality, the formless ocean of love, all spirit and consciousness, beyond material, beyond astral, and other planes of duality, illusion, mind, and time, or Kal. It is a beautiful, pure name for God, and is a very old sacred word that has been used by some Sants of India for many centuries. Ram is a name of God present in the teachings of many early classic Sants of India, including in the teachings of Sant Namdev, Guru Kabir, Guru Nanak, Sant Ravidas. It's in the Adi Granth or Sikh scriptures, and the classic hymns of many Sants of India. Ram is a name like Radhasoami, not for some presiding deity or hypostasis or reflection of God on a lower plane or holographic projection, not a presiding deity, not an incarnation, not something lesser, but is a name for the Supreme Being and ultimate reality. Satyaram is very much like the name Radhasoami. Satyaram, also like Radhasoami, is in the public domain. In other words, it's not a secret meditation mantra disclosed only to a few. In proximity to the Sangat, or spiritual community of the Dadu Panth, and for those studying the writings associated with Sant Dadu Dayal, the Panch Vani or the Dadu Vani Granth, everyone is encouraged to repeat this name, a sacred name used to remember God, a simran or zikr practice, a kind of prayer without ceasing, to borrow a phrase from Western mysticism. In the satsangs affiliated with the Dadu Panth, Satyaram is also used like the Hawaiian word aloha, as a goodbye, hello, greetings, salutations, or exclamation of praise. Satyaram is used very much like Radhasoami is used these days, as a name for the Supreme Being, the beloved Lord, the Most High God. Dadu said that in the universe all were bound by a unique thread in which there were millions of mantras and techniques for the fulfillment of every wish and desire. So Dadu Ji Maharaj gave the Maha Mantra, the great mantra Satyaram, to all humanity because it was simple and understandable. Before disappearing into the cave forever, Dadu raised his right hand in blessing and said, "Saints and disciples, Satyaram." Since then, the Satyaram Maha Mantra, the great mantra, has been used by devotees of Dadu in the Dadu Satsang, or the Sangat founded by Sant Dadu Dayal and his successors, as a symbol of blessing, as well as to greet each other. Says Kabir, repeat the name with the pang of separation and sing its glory with love and devotion. Fix thy mind in repetition with joy and dedication. Sweet indeed is the name of God, O man. Nothing is good without his name. Repeat only Ram's name. After the break, more about this sacred name, Satyaram, and the writings of Dadu in the English language. Welcome back to Spiritual Awakening Radio. Near the end of this segment, I'll give you some contact information. I'll give you my email address and some other information. The name Ram in India just means God, and is used by various religions or spiritual paths in different ways, sometimes referring to an incarnation of Vishnu or some other mythic god. But the Sants of India, including Guru Nanak, Kabir, Namdev, and Dadu Dayal, use the word Ram to refer to the formless Lord of Love in the purely spiritual region, the Lord of the soul, the Lord of love, the God who is spirit and truth in the timeless eternal realm, the formless God, a God beyond the cosmos of forms, the God beyond light and sound. And so is very much similar to the term Radhasoami, or Sat Purush, or Anami Purush, all names for the Most High God, not names for presiding deities, holographic projections, emanations, or lower levels of God, the astral kneecap of God, something like that, something sort of far removed down the chain of command. Rather, like the term Radhasoami, Satya Ram is referring to the true God, beyond time and space, beyond duality, beyond forms, the Lord of Love, the Most High, in the purely spiritual region, the ultimate reality. Satya means true eternal. So when you say Satya Ram, it just means true God or true eternal God, as is defined by saints like Dadu Dayal. Dadu was a great mystic, and he says, "The name of God is my sect. The way of living is to control the senses. For my deeds watch my disciples. Their goal is to be immersed in Ram. Their goal is to be immersed in God." Translations of Dadu's bhajans, hymns, or mystic poetry are quite rare in English. Volume 25 in the glorious Encyclopedia of Saints series represents the most complete collection of the works of Sant Dadu Dayal in English to date. The name of the book is Encyclopedia of Saints of India, Volume 25, Sant Dadu Dayal. Edited by Bakshi and Mitra, published by Criterion Publications of New Delhi. This volume contains a rare translation of some of the material from an Indian holy book that reminds one of the Sikh scriptures, or Adi Granth, a book called the Dadu Granth, or the Panch Vani, which consists of 5 different great saints of India, including Kabir and including Dadu. The Panch Vani, or the Dadu Granth, remains in Hindi only, but some of the Dadu section has been translated into English, much to our benefit. And this volume 25 in the Encyclopedia of Saints of India series combines that with another volume translated into English by a European scholar, a volume I've been referring to today called The Life Story of Dadu Dayal, the book of Jan Malila by a disciple of Dadu called Jan Gopal. So combining these two, the Panchvani Dadu section along with the book of Jan Malila together, this makes it a very comprehensive book in English indeed. Encyclopedia of Saints of India, Volume 25, Sant Dadu Dayal. Dadu is one of my all-time favorite classic saints of India. He was a poet, mystic, and spiritual master of divine light and sound, and Nar Guna Bhakti, or love for the formless Supreme Being. He lived in Rajasthan. Anyone who studies his teachings will encounter a very genuine, pure version of Sant-mat, or Way of the Saints, or Path of the Masters, with the perfect balance of God and Guru Bhakti. No excessive Guru Bhakti going on there in the teachings of Dadu. Love and mysticism, or Surat Shabd Yoga, is described, inner light and sound meditation. Beautiful poetry done in a spirit of love and devotion, the way it should be. In the tradition of Guru Kabir, Sant Dadu Dayal was a great Bhakti saint of India. Dadu means brother, and Dayal means the compassionate one or merciful one. Sant Dadu Dayal gathered around himself a group of followers, which became known as the Dadu Panth, the Sangit founded by Sant Dadu Dayal. And this great collection of hymns is certainly very beneficial, I think, for anyone who is a spiritual seeker, a satsangi or initiate of Sant-mat, to truly understand this great path of the Masters, the way it was intended to be communicated in this right-brained, poetic sort of way that does some justice to this amazing spiritual path of love, light, and sound. My name is James Bean. If you'd like to say hello, if you'd like to read more about Dadu, if you'd like to find out how to get a copy of this book, Encyclopedia of Saints of India, Sant Dadu Dayal, send me an email at this address, james@spiritualawakeningradio.com. james@spiritualawakeningradio.com, or send a text message to this number, 508-603-9381. You can visit my website, spiritualawakeningradio.com, which has a number of buttons, a donate button, blogger button, WordPress button, Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, articles, podcasts available. Lots there at the website, spiritualawakeningradio.com. Thanks for joining me today. See you once again. See you next time for another edition of Spiritual Awakening Radio.